Hello, BookTube. It is Friday evening, 91, 92 degrees Fahrenheit out, bright blue skies. It's almost 6 o'clock at night as I film this, and it's bright, bright day. And tomorrow starts summer, right? So humidity is starting to rise a little bit. We've had a run of 4 or 5 days that have just been gorgeous. And after work today, I met up with my wife. We had to do some shopping, and then we stopped at a thrift store, and I did real well. I was wandering and looking, and the place was fairly quiet. It's a big, big thrift store. I've taken Steve Donahue there with me before. It's called Listen. It's over in West Leb, New Hampshire. And I was thinking, well, I'm not going to really do that well today. And then I went around a corner, and there was a box that hadn't been shelved, and I just took the box. So let me show you what I got. This first one wasn't in the box, and it's the only one that isn't really sci-fi or fantasy. It's one of my favorite books of all time, and it's Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson. Lovely little copy here. It says The People's Classic Library. They remind me a lot of the Heron Press that I get from over in that I pick up wherever I can find. I have Charles Dickens. I actually have one that's I think it's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by Jack Le Carre. But a lovely, lovely edition of Kidnapped, and like I say, it's one of my favorite stories of all time. I read it when I was younger, and I've read it many times since. So yeah, I'll put that downstairs, but the rest of them will stay up here because, like I say, they're sci-fi fantasy. It's a heck of a haul. So first here I have Peter F. Hamilton, Pandoras Star. Right there. A little indicator that it's a book club, science fiction book club. So the year is 2380. The inner solar commonwealth, a sphere of stars some 400 light years in diameter, contains more than 600 worlds, interconnected by a web of transport tunnels known as wormholes. At the farthest edge of the Commonwealth, astronomer Dudley Bowes, obsessed with observes the impossible. Over 1,000 light years away, a star vanishes. So it's hard sci-fi. It's, like I say, it's Peter F. Hamilton, Ballantine Books, New York, and this is from 2004. So I'm thrilled to find this. I think I'm going to just pile these back in the box as I go. And then I got a bunch of these Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson Dune novels. I like them okay. They're not the original Dune, and I understand that, but I can sit down and enjoy reading them. There's Dune, the Machine Crusade, Dune, House Carino, and these are all these book club editions too. And then Dune, the Battle of Corrin. And again, you can see these little. So yeah, I mean, I read these and enjoy them. Again, I understand they're not the original Dune stories. It's Brian Herbert is Frank Herbert's son, and then Kevin J. Anderson, who's had quite a prolific career outside these books. And then next I have, one of the legendary authors of my youth, and that's Poul Anderson, and this is Starfarers. Again, you can tell it's a book club edition. This is the saga begins when evidence of an advanced civilization is discovered by SETI astronomers. Trails observed in the sky are thought to be from starships traveling at the speed of light, an enigma that spurs scientific minds until this breakthrough is achieved by mankind as well. An expedition is then mounted, and an eclectic team of scientists chosen to journey into the sector where the intelligent life is allegedly located. And then the adventure begins, right? So, Poul Anderson, always enjoy. Then a paperback here. This is Space Dogfight, and it has an introduction by Gordon R. Dixon with Algis Budrys, Charles Waugh, Martin Harry Greenberg as editors, and it looks like this. It's got a little hole punch through the cover for some bizarre reason. So this is probably, sounds like military science fiction. This was Ace edition of 1992. So yeah, you have introduction by Gordon R. Dixon, The Night of the Vampires by George Railroad Martin, In the Wind by Glenn Cook, The Nuptial Flight of Warbirds by Algis Budrys, Time of War by Mac Reynolds, Against the Lafayette Escadrille by Gene Wolfe, a very famous story, Hawk Among the Sparrows by Dean McLaughlin, Custer's Last Jump by Stephen Utley and Howard Waldrop, who I think I've heard Steve Donahue mention a few times, and A Little Night Flying by Bob Shaw. So this ought to be fun. I don't even think I've ever seen this. It's a little Ace anthology, so sort of nice. Then here's a C.J. Shira, author I've always enjoyed. I have not read everything she's written because she has written a lot. Again, a book club edition. And this is Forge of Heaven. The far edge of the galaxy, tiny Concordia Station holds a unique place in the universe. The one place where humans from Earth, the strange outsider worlds, and the extremely powerful alien Ondat all coexist, bound together to the fate of the fragile world below. Scarred by vicious nanotechnology unleashed by the powerful Ondat, this lone desert planet acts as a crucible to determine whether there can be peace between the far-spanning empires of the universe or unending, unstoppable war to rival even the cataclysmic gene wars that once devastated untold galaxy. And I really like her storytelling ability, so I'm glad to have this. Then I have a little more C.J. Shira. This is the second Foreigner sequence. So there's one before this. I've got the three of them. There is Defender, Precursor, and Explorer. Yeah, these are Michael Whalen covers. Make sure they are. So this is Michael Whalen here. That's why I look. So that one's Michael Whalen. But this is not. This is Stephen Ewell cover. And then who did this first one? Probably the same person. Yeah, Stephen Ewell. Got sort of a look to it, doesn't it? So I'm happy to find these. I think I read the first three and never got to these, so I'll be happy to have them. There's some more hard sci-fi. This is Stephen Baxter, Exultant. Again, book club edition. This is Ballantine Books, New York, Del Rey. It's called Destiny's Children 2, 2004. For more than 20,000 years, humans have been at war with the alien race of Zeeli. This war fought with armament so advanced as to be godlike, a war in which time itself has become an ever-shifting battleground. At the cost of billions of lives and with ruthless and relentless efficiency, the ruling coalition has pushed the Zeeli back to the galactic core, where the supermassive black hole known as Chandra serves the Zeeli as both fortress and power source. So our hard sci-fi and far-flung future here, huh? So I want to see if they tell me how this works with another volume. So he's, what are they saying? This is Exultant, and this is Destiny's Children's 2. So I'll have to look that up. So, yes, there you go. And then, one I grabbed, and I probably, it was 50 cents. It doesn't matter. This is Tad Williams, who I like. Shadowplay. And this is volume 2. It's a sequel to something called Shadow March, which I have not read. I haven't read either of them. Daw Books. And when did this come out? It's big old trade paperback, 2007. So I should be able to find the first one easy enough. And yeah, it's a sweeping spellbinder full of mystical wonder, according to Publishers Weekly. A year ago, the March Kingdoms were at peace, and the Eden family held the throne. Now the family has been shattered. King Olin Eden is a prisoner in a faraway land, and Olin's heir, Kendrick, is dead, slain by treachery and dark, bloody magic. So they're calling this a complex political fantasy. So if anybody's read that, drop me a line. We'll see if it's worth me getting the first volume. So then I'm going to wrap up with really what I was thrilled to find here. I used to have tons of these, way early ones, but these are a little later, the early 2000s. I had them long before. This is the year's best science fiction, edited by Gardner Dozois. And here I'm going to start with the 18th. It's a little hardcover. This is St. Martin's Griffin, New York, and this came out in 2001. So it's just his choices of, this is a legendary anthology. Let's see here. We'll give you some idea who we have. So he does a summary at the beginning of each of these. So this is his summation, 2000, where he talks about the year in the publishing of these stories. And then he ends with honorable mentions for 2000. So I'm just going to read, he's got Birthday of the World by Ursula K. Le Guin, Savior by Nancy Kress, The Suspect Genome, by Peter F. Hamilton, The Raggle Taggle Gypsy O by Michael Swanwick. He's got Lucius Shepard, Alistair Reynolds, Brian Stableford, Stephen Baxter, we just saw, Greg Egan, got Ian McDonald, so and many, many more. These are always fun to just go through. And then I've got 19th, with the next year, also in a hardback, Gardner Dozois, year's best science fiction, 19th annual collection. And this is, again, St. Martin's Griffin, New York. And this came out in 2002. So he does a summation of 2001. And Ian R. McLeod, Dan Simmons, Nancy Kress, Charles Stross, Michael Swanwick, Paul D. Filippo, Alistair Reynolds, Alan M. Steele, who I enjoy, Howard Waldrop and Lee Kennedy, One Horse Town, Robert Reed, James Patrick Kelly, Carolyn Ives Gilman, Maureen F. McHugh, Ian R. McLeod, Paul Macaulay, Ken McLeod, honorable mentions 2001. So I'll go through that. And I'd like to start reconstituting this. This one's a big trade. It's not in perfect shape, but binding's fine. And this is the 21st annual, so I'm missing the 20th in that little run. I may go back there and they'll have them tomorrow or sometime. But it is big old floppy. And this is his summation of 2003, so we're missing 2002. And then follows up with honorable mentions. Some of the authors: William Barton, John Kessel, Nancy Kress again, John Varley, Judith Moffat, Howard Waldrop, Calling Your Name, Christine Catherine Rush, Walter John Williams, Paolo Bacigalupi. I always mess up this guy's name, and he's a brilliant writer. The Fluted Girl, it's called. Michael Swanwick. Let's see, Werner Vinge, The Cookie Monster, Harry Turtlelove, Jeffrey A. Landis, Robert Reed, Paul D. Filippo, Terry Dowling, Terry Bisson. So yeah, pretty good run of these. So I'll start collecting more of these. I love the short stories, what I grew up on. Well, nice little book haul. Hotter than the Dickens out. So next couple of days are going to be like I say, be really interesting. So we will enjoy this warm weather while we have it. So I hope everyone's well, and have a nice weekend. Thank you, BookTube.